Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win, or you find a way to lose. Hey, look, let's put some things in perspective here real quick. Terence Crawford is amazing. Terence Crawford is definitely on his way in this final stretch of his career. But this is the problem, right? Even if you're a Crawford fan, I want to make sure you hear what I'm saying. Terence Crawford is an amazing fighter. Terence Crawford deserves to make gazillions of dollars. Right? I want to make sure you hear that. But I'm going to tell you right now, not every fight Terence Crawford is going to be in is a big fight. That's a fact. Now, you look at Canelo Alvarez. It doesn't matter who Canelo fights. It's a big fight. People are going to tune in, break their necks, and the Canelo clan, they're going to come out and support that man. They're going to pay their money for pay-per-view. They're going to get behind him. That's something I think people need to understand, man. If Canelo points his finger at someone and he says, you're going to be the one. You know what fighters say? They say, yes, sir. Quite simple. They know by fighting Canelo, it's a big fight. It's going to be big money. And they're gonna jump at it. It doesn't matter who he fights. And when it comes to putting it on as a pay-per-view event, it's going to do good numbers. Simple. Now, Terence Crawford, he can't do that. Terence Crawford can't just sit here and point at somebody and say, hey, you, let's get in the ring. The fighters ain't just jump. They're not going to jump at him to fight him. Because you know what? The difference is, more than likely, anyone who fights Terence Crawford, especially 147 to 154, maybe even 160, right? More than likely, they'll probably take a loss. And they're not going to make the kind of money that they want to make in order to take that loss. Because when it comes to legacy right now, look, this is just an era where a lot of fighters aren't really worried about legacy. They're all about the dollar bill, y'all. And that's something that people need to understand. So Terence Crawford's in a kind of precarious position because he's got this outstanding resume. He's undisputed at 147 right now. And he's coming off of a huge win. So you would think that whoever he pointed his finger at, people would jump. That's not the case. It's kind of like Canelo Alvarez, right? It's like, say him and Crawford are out trying to buy a house. And Canelo points. They both identify the house they want. And they decide to go in there now and dealing with a mortgage company. And the mortgage company is kind of acting like they don't want to move, don't want to give Canelo Alvarez a loan or the time of day. And he just points his finger at him and says, hey, I'm paying cash. You do what I told you. And they're like, yes, sir. This man's paying cash. Quite simple. I don't have to worry about nothing. Right? If he says this is what I want to do, they make it happen. Terence Crawford goes in. He's kind of in a situation, in my opinion, if you're comparing the two of them to buying a house, he goes in, he's like, hey, I want that house. And they don't want to deal with him either. And then they're like, okay, well, hey, we're willing to kind of listen to you. He's like, yeah, but I kind of got pre-approved for this. So I'm looking to finance it over 30 years. They're going to be like, man, get out of here. They're going to deal with the guy who's guaranteed money, not this other guy. You understand? And that's what Canelo Alvarez is. He's guaranteed money. Now I'm going to tell you, for Terence Crawford, I don't think Terence Crawford will ever be in the position that Canelo's in. Never. Man, he's 36, man. Come on now. Let's just be real. You trying to tell me Terence Crawford, just because he beat Earl Spence, that he's now in position of what Floyd Mayweather was in, of what Canelo's in now, to where they can just come and point at people and everybody wants to jump at them because they're the cash cow? Terence Crawford's no cash cow. He's not the cash cow, man. And you know whose fault it is? It's a lot of the boxing fans' faults. And Fire Stick is probably the best thing created, but the worst thing for these fighters because, not many people pay for pay-per-view fights. I see some people coming out here in the comments, I always pay, I support the fighters, I do. Then I see them come in another post talking about how the Fire Stick changed their life. People be out here talking crap. But for Terence Crawford, and they're looking at Canelo, for Canelo's next fight, y'all really think Canelo, let's understand something. Y'all think Canelo needs Terence Crawford? Man, Canelo got guaranteed money over there at PBC right now. 2 more fights. Man signed $100 million deal, plus all the everything else that goes on in the under the table stuff and everything else and the secret society numbers, man. Like, let's understand. That deal Canelo did over at PBC, this man off this fight here with Charlo, man, made like $50 million. He signed a 3-fight, $100 million deal. He made like $50 million. That's crazy. And who are you going to fight next? He don't need no damn Terence Crawford. I want to see that fight, but he doesn't need him. Now it's talking about fighting Adames. I mean, Canelo could fight a damn... He could go out there and fight a monkey. And it would sell out. Terence Crawford just can't do that. And that's the reality of it. And think about it. Where Canelo is in his career is where Terence Crawford kind of is as far as not too many fights left. But Canelo says he wants to keep fighting. But really, if Canelo said, hey, I got a couple fights and done, he's not. He can do that. But he can retire and have a peace of mind with everything he's done in boxing. Crawford can't do that. Now, I'm not saying Crawford doesn't have money. I'm not watching his pocket. What I'm talking about right now is having the peace of mind and selling off into the sunset. So whereas Canelo's like, I can pick and fight anybody these last few fights. Crawford's still looking to pick people where he can make the most money. He's not going to get that opportunity. I just don't think there's enough time for Crawford to really get the fights that he needs that can put him in that position to where he can basically do like Canelo and walk in there and say, hey, mortgage company, just the house I want. Oh, don't worry about any pre-qualifications and stuff. Hey, I'm buying cash. Get the paperwork done. And they say, yes, sir. He's not there, and I don't think he'll ever get it. I just don't think there's enough time. And nobody really jumping to fight him. You got Boots Ennis who wants to fight him at 147. I mean, he had an opportunity to fight Bud Crawford, didn't he? Right? Didn't he have an opportunity to fight Terence Crawford? He turned it down. But, people forget about that. Hell, Keith Thurman's calling out Boots Ennis. Ain't nobody talking about fighting Keith Thurman right now. So what I'm saying is, Terence Crawford got all this hardware where nobody wanted to fight him before. Now you got some people who want to fight him, but that ain't going to be the kind of money he's looking for. But for what Terence Crawford's looking for, he may not get. Even this fight with Jermell Charlo, I'm not so sure that fight comes off. Jermell Charlo just got a one-sided butt whipping by Canelo. You want to run in here with Terence Crawford, man, and I'm sure Jermell Charlo's being advised to not take a damn Crawford fight. Why would they advise him to take the Crawford fight unless Jermell Charlo's just trying to cash out? Now, in case y'all don't know, I have people out here trying to tell me how much money Jermell Charlo made when he fought Canelo. Let me tell you, I've been telling y'all he made like $20 million. 20, 25. People are like, no, 8 to 10. That's like, look, I read the articles too. Those articles be lying to y'all. Paulie Malignaggi, I'm not saying that he tells the truth all the time, but he likes to spill the beans. And he put it out there. Hey, Charlo made like $20 million. If Canelo made 50, y'all telling me that it's impossible for Charlo to have made 20? Come on now, man. Let's not take it to the stupid. But bottom line is Crawford wants some of those big paydays. And I think he deserves it, man. When I watch him, it's like watching Deontay Wilder, man. These guys out here just tranquilizing people, beating people down. And they can't get really big money fights. I know Deontay made some good money with Tyson Fury, but they can't get, every one of their fights, I think them guys should be making 30, 40 million. But, it just doesn't work like that. But at the end of the day, I'm telling y'all right now, Canelo said at this time he's not thinking about Crawford. And it doesn't mean plans can't change because Canelo still seems to be motivated. But if he doesn't move towards the Terence Crawford fight, which is, to me, the biggest fight that can be made in boxing right now is Canelo and Crawford. But if he doesn't move towards that, it's because he's cool with where he is, and he's going to keep picking and choosing whoever he wants to fight because he's getting guaranteed big-time money because they know his fan base and the kind of numbers he does. And essentially, he doesn't need Terence Crawford to make $50 million. He'll fight anybody. And that's just the reality of it. Terence Crawford needs Canelo. Terence Crawford kind of needs like a Jamel Charlo. And outside of that, for Terence Crawford to fight somebody to make the kind of money he wants, I'm just not sure, who's out there for him. Unless he does something, crazy, like really like we're talking about, jumping out of the weight class, a couple, 2, 3, 4 weight divisions and doing something like that. Then he could find himself being handsomely compensated, but I mean, to do what? Risk his health just to chase money? So let's sit back and see what happens. But I'm just telling you, the more I think about this, the more I'm like, you know what? Canelo can fight everybody, anybody. He doesn't need Crawford for no big fight to make 40, 50 million. So the more I think about it, the more I'm like, he may not do it. When I think about Terence Crawford, I feel like Terence Crawford, man, he needs to, if he doesn't understand, he needs to understand that he needs to stay active. Terence Crawford has to stay active. I don't know how else to say this. He can't afford to, even waiting for Earl Spence in this rematch. Don't wait. Don't wait that long. If Earl Spence is dragging this out and he needs to heal up, take an interim bout. Or just forget about the rematch. But I understand the money. Go fight someone else. Fight Keith Thurman. Fight somebody. But stay active, get you a decent payday, and just keep working towards your goal of a few fights left in retirement. I'll tell you what, man, I don't care what anyone says. I just think if Crawford was to beat Keith Thurman and Boots Ennis, I think those are two huge feathers in his cap. Because there's nobody, Pacquiao beat Keith Thurman, but barely. But there's no one who's beat Keith Thurman. If Crawford get in there and beat Keith Thurman down and knock him out, that sends, I'm talking about a serious message to the world. And if he fights Boots Ennis and knocks him out, that sends a serious message to the world, which he's already sending serious messages, but people don't take him serious. And then after that, it's like, okay, that's what he's going to say. What else y'all want me to do? There's nothing left here at 147. What y'all want me to do? Nobody wants to fight me. And it puts even more pressure on, guys from 154 to 168. But I really think after that, hey, every time you win, call out Canelo. Put pressure on Canelo. Some people talking about Crawford fighting David Benavidez. I don't know if that's the move he needs to make, but all I'm saying is for Terence Crawford, I just think he just needs to stay active and quit worrying too much about chasing after Canelo, because Canelo can fight anybody. Crawford just can't do that. And I think he feels like, hey, with this win over Earl Spence, I'm just looking for the biggest fights now. And look, ain't nobody really calling out no damn Terence Crawford. Nobody that can get him paid good money. Canelo ain't really, it sounded like he was thinking about him, but then it sounded like he kind of backpedaled. And Canelo was talking about fighting Earl Spence at 160 at a catch weight. He don't want to do that for Terence Crawford. But outside of that, ain't nobody talking about no damn Terence Crawford. Nobody at 175. Nobody at 168. At 160, ain't nobody talking about fighting Terence Crawford. Only person really talking about fighting Terence Crawford is at 154, and that's Jamel Charlo. And at 147 is Boots Ennis. That's it. Nobody else thinking about fighting no damn Terence Crawford. And that's sad. That's sad. But that's his reality. So he got to make a decision on what he's going to do. Keep calling out Canelo, but stay active. Because when it comes to that boy, Canelo Alvarez, look, man, he been putting the work in for a long time, and so has Bud. But unfortunately, people just don't get behind Bud the way I think he deserves, man. But who knows? Maybe now we got to see how it is for the next fight. He's supposed to be fighting Spence, but I'd say if he fights someone other than Spence, let's see how if it's on pay-per-view, let's see how it performs. Because I'm not going off of that Evander Singh crap. BLK Prime numbers, I don't believe none of that. Let's see how he does now that he's got that huge feather in his cap and he's a 2-time undisputed champion. Let's see how his pay-per-view is against another opponent other than Spence. Let's see how it is if he gets that opportunity. See what kind of numbers they do, which I hope they do well. But anyway, man, y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans, all 7 continents. I think Crawford and Canelo's, I still think that's the biggest money fight they can make in boxing right now, especially if they decide they want to hold that fight, out there in the Middle East. I just think there's so much money out there for that fight. I think Crawford and Canelo could go out there and end up making Crawford may make $100 million out there, and Canelo may go make $150 million. It may be some kind of money to where even Canelo says, "Hey, I don't care what he's getting, as long as I get this," because that would be an amazing fight. But then again, that's all wishful thinking, right? Anyway, y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans, all 7 continents. All of Canelo's fights are big fights, man. It's just for Terence Crawford. It's just not the case, and that's the reality. I'm in the breeze.